Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into a book that completely turned our ideas about wealth upside down, The Millionaire Next Door. It's packed with some seriously surprising research about who the real millionaires in America are. You're probably going to be surprised. So let's get right into it. Okay, so first things first, I want you to do something for me. Just for a second, picture a millionaire. Like really picture them. What car are they driving? What kind of clothes are they wearing? You got that image in your head? Okay, hold on to that. Now, if you're like most people, you probably pictured something straight out of a movie, right? We're talking luxury cars, designer clothes, giant mansions, a life of just crazy spending, fueled by a huge income. And honestly, who can blame us? Hollywood and social media have done an incredible job convincing us that being rich means spending big. But what if I told you that picture is almost completely wrong? Yeah, a groundbreaking study of America's actual wealthy found that the whole pop culture image, it's basically a myth. The reality is way more surprising. And you know what? It's also way more achievable for the rest of us. So this leads us to this awesome Texan saying that just perfectly sums up the book's main idea: big hat, no cattle. It's a brilliant way to think about the massive difference between looking rich and actually being rich. The researchers actually heard this phrase from a real self-made millionaire. This guy, he owned a business rebuilding engines. And when his partners from the UK first met him, they thought he was a truck driver. I mean, he was driving a 10-year-old car, wearing jeans, living in a normal house. He didn't have the big hat, but man, his bank account, he had a ton of cattle. This really gets to the heart of it. The book splits people into two groups. First, you've got the UAWs, or under-accumulators of wealth. These are the big hat, no cattle folks. They might have a huge income, that's their great offense. But they spend it all on status, so their net worth is low. Their defense is just awful. Then you have the pause, the prodigious accumulators of wealth. These are the real deal, the millionaires next door. They might not earn as much, but they are masters of financial defense. And that's how they build serious wealth. So, how do these pause actually do it? What's their big secret? Well, it's not some crazy complicated investment strategy. It's actually pretty simple. It all comes down to one word, repeated 3 times for emphasis: frugal, frugal, frugal. And we're talking seriously frugal. Okay, take a look at this number. $399. What do you think that is? That is the most the typical millionaire from the study had ever in their entire life spent on a suit. Not what they spent last year. We're talking ever. And what about a watch? The classic symbol of wealth? Well, check this out. For half of the millionaires they studied, the most they'd ever shelled out for a watch was $235. This quote is just perfect. So the researchers get a group of decamillionaires. We're talking people worth over $10 million together for a focus group. They put out this super fancy spread, gourmet food, vintage Bordeaux wine, the works. And one of the guys walks in, they offer him some, and he just says, "I drink scotch and 2 kinds of beer, free and Budweiser." I love it. They said the millionaires ate the crackers, but the researchers had to finish off all the expensive wine themselves. And if you need any more proof, just look at the credit cards they carry. This is fascinating. Almost half of them had a Sears card. Compare that to Saks Fifth Avenue, only a quarter, and the super fancy high-status American Express Platinum card, a tiny 6.2%. It's crystal clear. They're shopping for value, not to impress anyone. Okay, so being frugal is obviously a huge piece of the puzzle. But it's not just about pinching pennies. That's just the start. To actually build wealth, you need a strategy. And you know how they say in sports, offense sells tickets, but defense wins championships? Well, the same thing is true for your money. I mean, think about it. It really isn't about how much you earn. It's all about how much you keep. A massive salary is totally useless if it all just flies right back out the door every month. The real millionaires, they've mastered financial defense. They budget, they plan, they know where every dollar is going. And their game plan? It's not complicated, but man, is it powerful. So here's what they do. First, they set super clear financial goals. Second, they run their household on a budget. Third, they track their spending. They know exactly where their money goes. And fourth, and this is so important, they consistently invest the money they save. See? It's not about being a genius. It's about being disciplined. And look, the proof is right here in the data. This chart shows that the prodigious accumulators, the PAs, spend almost double the amount of time every single month on financial planning compared to the high-income under-accumulators. They don't just spend their money wisely, they spend their time wisely, focusing on what actually builds wealth. Okay, so if these are the rules for becoming a millionaire, how do they teach their kids? You'd think the children of millionaires would have a huge head start, right? Well, the book uncovers this really interesting and honestly kind of dangerous trap that a lot of wealthy parents fall into. They have a name for this trap: economic outpatient care, or EOC for short. Basically, it's when wealthy parents keep giving their adult kids money and substantial gifts, to help them keep up a certain kind of lifestyle. But here's the crazy part. It almost always backfires. Instead of helping their kids, EOC actually makes them financially dependent. It teaches them to consume and spend, not to save and build. It kills their drive, and the book has this brutal bottom line finding. The more money adult children get from their parents, the less wealth they end up building on their own. So what's the right way to do it? Well, one of the millionaires in the book, a guy named Dr. North, he just nailed it. He and his wife raised financially independent kids, and his secret was simple. They lived the rules themselves. He said they taught by example. Because let's be honest, kids are smart. They're not going to listen to what you say if you're doing the complete opposite. And this brings us to what the authors call the absolute #1 rule for wealthy parents. And it's a big one. It is never tell your children that you are wealthy. Seriously. You wait until after they've grown up, gotten their own careers, and established their own disciplined adult lives. Let them figure it out and build something for themselves first. So when you boil it all down, what's the key takeaway here? It's that wealth and income are just not the same thing. True wealth isn't about a huge paycheck. It's the result of a disciplined lifestyle. It's about hard work, perseverance, and more than anything else, it's about planning. And that really leaves us with one final big question to ask ourselves. The big hat, no cattle folks, they're focused on building a great lifestyle right now. But the millionaire next door, they're focused on building a great balance sheet for the future. So you have to ask yourself, which one are you building?